Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Wednesday, September 13th of 2023. You know what day it is? It is hump day! And on this hump day, we do have a moon in its balsamic phase that's going to make some interesting aspects today. Definitely is going to make things little sensitive, a little on the sensitive side, a little bit. I would say definitely intense, but hopefully you don't allow it to get too crazy for yourself. So, but yeah, like I said, it is Hump Day. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week so far. I did not wake up anxious today. Like yesterday I woke up anxious, which has it. I can't recall the last time that's happened, but anyways, it is what it is. Today I'm definitely doing a lot better and stuff. So, but in any event, let's go ahead and hop into the trends for today. We have a lot of building energy. We have a lot of aspects that are building. Venus is getting ready to square Jupiter for the third time. They've been in square for months. We have the Sun, which is getting ready to trine over to Uranus and oppose Neptune. So that's building up. Venus is catching speed. You know, Mercury is slowing down and getting ready to come direct. Right? We have a Mars that is getting ready to make these oppositions to all the energy in Aries. So we have some energy that's building up. None of those will come exact today, but when you have energy that's building up, and the astrology tends to do this, you'll tend to get like a wave of exact aspects, trines, oppositions, conjunctions, some of these things that might have not happened in years. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it can be like, well, we haven't experienced this exact aspect since 20, since like 2017, or like it can be like that, right? And then you get like these lull periods where it doesn't seem like a whole lot is happening. I wouldn't say that this is a lull period. I would say that this is more like that building period. The lull period was like several days back, right? Now things are starting to build up again, where these aspects are about to happen. We are in like those that kind of like that pregame before they exactly happen. And there's a lot that goes into the pregame too. There's a lot of like, think about it like when you could think of like, but think about the psychology that goes into like the pregame, right? Preparing, practicing, all of the like the interviews, whatever like that, the freaking press conferences. We're kind of in that phase with a lot of these aspects that are about to go down, and there's a lot that's part of the game as well, because that's where you can psych yourself up. You can maybe psych out your opponent. I'm thinking even like, especially with like, fighters like UFC and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into that. There can be intimidate. They try to intimidate each other. You know what I'm saying? There's the weigh-ins. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. So just take that into consideration, that it's not necessarily like the day that the sun opposes Neptune. It's like, no, like it's already building. The energy is already building. We are in the pregame, and there's most of the game, especially in astrology, most of the game is played in the pregame. Most of that is played in the pregame as things are building up. So just, a bit of a tidbit, just bit of like a heads up when it comes to a lot of these things that are happening. So like I said, Venus getting ready to square Jupiter for the third time, right? And she's picking up speed. She'll be at 14 degrees by the end of the day. So you have the sun, which is getting ready to oppose Neptune. The sun, of course, here in Virgo, trying to figure some things out, trying to bring light to these areas, especially with a Mercury retrograde here in Virgo that is damn near stopped. That's about to come forward. And a Pallas Athena that's just hanging out here at the edge of Virgo too at 29 degrees, right? So there's a lot that we're trying to figure out. There's a lot that we're trying to bring light to. And we want answers, right? And it's interesting that we get this new moon, which will happen tomorrow, and then it's like we're gonna feel like this sort of refreshing energy, and then we get checked by Neptune. The sun will get checked by Neptune. It's like, oh wait, hold up, wait a minute. Did you consider this? That's gonna happen. So it's like we don't want to, like, there's an area where it's like we want to definitely be prepared and come up with some sort of game plan, but also be prepared for that game plan to not exactly go according to plan. You can prepare as much as you want, but then you get into the actual game, and then maybe the game plan doesn't go 100%. Maybe it goes like 60 or 70%. Maybe you score a touchdown on your first drive of the game, and then you go 3 drives where it's 3 and out. And then it's like, well, shoot, your game plan did initially work, right? But then the other team adjusted to your game plan, and you failed to adjust for 3 straight drives and went 3 and out. That's going to be the sun opposed Neptune, right? Just preparing you guys for that. And it's going to be like, well, fuck. Are you going to be so stubborn and hard headed and fixated on it looking a certain way? I'm like, no, the game plan worked. We scored a touchdown on the first drive, we went 80 yards in like 12 plays. Or you're like, well, look at the last 3 drives. You went 8 yards, right? You went -5 yards, and then you went 3 yards. Like, you didn't do that great. The game plan kind of works, but the other team adjusted. And the delusion here is that maybe the other team doesn't score that much either. Maybe it's like 7-7, right? So that's the weird thing too with the whole Mars and Libra thing. It's like, well, it seems balanced. It seems, I was like, but is it? Is it though? We have to. This is definitely a time to have some discernment. This is definitely a time to just kind of chill out and observe in many ways. Like, I think you have the tools and resources to get through this moment and to get to the next level, but because of all this building energy, right? Especially since, like, you have all this energy on this side and then you have all this energy on that side. There's like nothing in Scorpio, there's like nothing in Sag, just barely anything over here in Gemini or Cancer. It's like all right here. It looks like a butterfly. That's kind of, I call this butterfly astrology, when everything's like on one side and everything's on the other side, and there's like nothing really right here in the middle, except for Vesta, right? I think that's kind of interesting. But we're going to see, of course, this moon. It does oppose Saturn, and that's earlier in the day. This was like what? Yeah, this was like 6:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the West Coast, you're probably asleep. If you're on the East Coast, you might have been waking up and going to work, right? So we did have this energy as far as like the moon actually ingressing into Virgo overnight and then opposing Saturn, right? Since most of you guys aren't really going to be experiencing this, I'm not going to talk about it too much. Just know that, of course, the moon and Saturn rule signs that are naturally opposed with Cancer and Capricorn. It's interesting with this one, where you have Saturn in dreamy, watery Pisces, and you have a moon in Virgo, which the moon in Virgo is like I said, especially from like an emotional standpoint, trying to really organize things and kind of fill things out. And you have a Saturn in Pisces, which is retrograde, which Saturn, like I said, she's kind of on vacation, if you will, but still providing her inputs. Like, people are like, her employees are still calling her, and she's like, hey, Saturn, how do I do this thing? He's like, yeah, you just do this, and then click. Like, she's not really giving much details and stuff. She's kind of just being like, all right, yeah, you do this, and then click. Or it's like, figure it out, click. Like, that's kind of where Saturn and Pisces is right now. Because, like I said, it's more of like a spiritual, esoteric, unseen kind of energy, right? It's not apparently in your face kind of energy. And that's the thing about this, right? So now back to that present moment, and then let's just fast forward to this moment right here, which I think is going to be the biggest moment of the day. Of course, this energy is going to be building up throughout the day. So remember, we are in the pregame. We're in the pregame of this happening, right? But it comes exact, pretty much around 6:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's like what, 6, 5, 4, 3. So that's like 3 p.m. So in like towards the end of your workday on the West Coast, right? So I think it's interesting how we do get this towards the end of the workday for most people on the Eastern Coast. And it is the end of the workday. That's why you're sitting in traffic and shit. going home or making some errands on the way home, maybe going to the gym after work. You have like your after work rituals and stuff like that, right? On the West Coast, this of course could be, well, y'all could be getting off too. I'm not sure when the day starts out over there too. So I know things are a little bit different in different parts of the country too. So, but we have a dark moon in Virgo conjuncting Mercury at 8 degrees. Now, why is this important? Well, as I said in yesterday's video, whenever the moon is within 30 degrees of the sun, it's like in a Pisces-like territory, which means that the veil is a lot thinner, which means that, especially with it being the moon and it being in this place of Virgo, you just want to be careful. Things are more sensitive. The veil between this realm and this more spiritual realms is a lot thinner. It's easier for entities to come in and influence you based off of what you do. So it's like, this is probably not the best day to get drunk, probably not the best day to get super high, unless you're very intentional about it, because it will be easy for entities to kind of come in and hijack those moments, because you can be just thinking that you're just having your standard drink at the end of the workday or your standard smoke at the end of the workday, right? And then bam, you get a moon that conjuncts Mercury in Virgo, and it's dark moon. Mercury, which is damn near stopped at this point. Mercury's not moving very, very fast. At, like I said, 8 degrees. So 8 is the number of Saturn, right? So it's going to bring a bit of a hard element to it, a bit of a harsher element to this conjunction because it is Saturn, right? You can, building up to the new moon, you can definitely feel like, you want to commit to some new habits and some new rituals and new ways of being. But then before that, of course, we get the challenge of a moon conjuncting Mercury at a degree where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. The challenges are going to come up. Obstacles could potentially come up, especially mentally and emotionally, how they can really bounce off of each other. You just want to be careful with this energy, right? You want to be careful with this energy. It's Wednesday. I mean, that's not usually that people go to the club, but I wouldn't recommend doing stuff like that. I wouldn't really recommend going to the club or going to the bar. This is definitely an energy where you kind of want to just go home and decompress and rest and just, observe and not get into too much crazy shit. Because if you do, with such a with such a sliver of, like, you can't even really see the moon at this point, right? That's the thing. You can't even really see the moon at this point. So that's the thing too. You can't see the moon, right? The light of the sun that's not reflecting off of the moon. That means that that light that comes from the sun that will fill you up, that is a purifying energy that can burn away any impurities at nighttime, it's not being reflected by something, which means that humanity becomes alone at nighttime, especially with all of their emotions, with the full depth of their emotions, positive and negative. So this is when some of those things that maybe are suppressed it's an interesting thing. The full moon pulls these things out like a magnet. The new moon allows it to kind of just leak out, if you will. It doesn't just pull the energies out. That's why it's interesting with the full moon. It'll like pull on the tides. It'll pull on emotions. It seems like people kind of go crazy during full moons. But with the new moon, it's more so it just like leaks out, if you will. It's a great time to plant things and to begin new processes, begin new manifestation cycles. But it's also we have to be super intentional about it, because, like I said, since the veil is so much thinner around the time of a new moon like this, that things from our subconscious can really start to bubble up to the surface. That's why I said, like, you want to just be careful if you want to be careful when it comes to like alcohol. You want to be careful when it comes to, getting high and different things like that. You want to be careful with just drugs in general because, like I say, you can just be enjoying your regular evening, maybe watching something, and then something in the show can subconsciously trigger you, which will cause like a feedback loop of thoughts. And then if you're not prepared to handle that, if you're not prepared for what may come up, then it could take you down a road where you may start to kind of like wig yourself out. You may start to go a little cuckoo for cocoa puffs, if you will. So don't go cuckoo for cocoa puffs right now, you know. And I think that mainly the reason why that could potentially happen is because, like, we definitely want answers. You know, we want answers. We want to know why things maybe aren't happening the way that we want them to. Why does it feel like some puzzle pieces just aren't falling into place? You know, remember, Virgo is about the work. It's about service. That's the other part about this. This is not about being selfish right now. It's not a selfish time. It's like I know Chiron, and I know the North Node is in Aries, but that's just about knowing who you are and your character. It's not selfishness. It's about knowing who you are. And that's the funny thing about it. It's like if you don't know who you like, that's the funny thing about it with like the Libra Aries thing. It's like knowing who you are and then balancing yourself as well compared to the people around you. You know, you can't just be so into who you are and yourself and disregard everyone else. You can't just do that. No one can really do that. And those people tend to be the loneliest. They may seemingly have all the confidence in the world, but it doesn't matter because no one wants to hang out with them, right? So this is, like I said, but this is about your service to humanity. It's about what you can provide through your hard work and your hard efforts. So with the moon that's conjuncting Mercury that's damn near stopped, we're going to be asking ourselves today, what work have I put in to this point? And, you know, this is why I think having an attitude of gratitude is going to be important. Acknowledging what you have done, how far you have come is going to be very important today, because each and every single one of us is probably going to have some sort of thought today where it's like, well, I could have done more. I could have done this, I could have worked harder in this area. Well, that's true. Now you're going to have to just have the ability and the strength to release any type of guilt or release anything that kind of makes you kind of feel more in a down state in regards to that. Not ruminate on what you could have done, on how much harder you could have worked, but focus on what you can do differently, how you can work harder, how you can be of a greater server to humanity at this time, a greater server to this world at this time. But yeah, we're all going to kind of get in our head this today where it's like, well, I could have done that better. I could have worked harder here. Damn, why didn't I work harder here? Like, but like I say, you don't want to get into that state where you kind of put yourself down. You want to use this as an opportunity to bring yourself up. Use this as opportunity to, you know, inspire yourself and motivate yourself. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I didn't work as hard in that thing in the past, but look at all of that I've learned and I've accomplished and have experienced since then. Now I can take this newer, greater understanding and bring that to the world and serve the world in that way. That's the way that you want to look at it. It's not going to be as easy to get into that energy, but like I said, having an attitude of gratitude, acknowledging the things that you do have in your life, the people that you do have in your life, the things that are working out in your life, acknowledging those things and those tools and those strategies and all of the love that is around you is going to be what gets you through these moments. And not trying to seriously push the envelope on certain things, taking actions just to feel a little bit better. This is a time of observation. We still are about 9 to 10 days out from the equinox, right? So we still have some more time with this Virgo energy. Mercury's going to be coming forward, and you're going to start to feel it too. We still have a lot of planets that are retrograde, right? Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto. Now, Mercury is about to come back online here in a bit. In a few days, Mercury will be coming direct, which is good. But then, as you will notice, is that all of the planets that are coming direct are, first of all, the personal planets, and they are on one side of the zodiac: Venus, Mercury, and Mars. All of the other planets, the more generational planets, you know, the longer moving planets are on the other side of the zodiac. They are in, this Capricorn to Taurus, right? Whereas the other ones are in this Leo to Libra energy. So that's interesting too with that. It's like the personal planets are going to be in the more social signs, if you will. Leo, Virgo, Libra. They're more social signs. These signs over here are a little bit more about legacy, spirituality, society at large, if you, in many ways, and also the self with the Aries and Taurus energy. That's where the outer planets are. So it's definitely going to feel like things are going to start to kind of move forward, a little bit. But at the same time, not really. And then there's an element here where it's like you don't want to, lose your confidence when it comes to expressing who you are and being who you are. This is why I even put the meditation as what I put it as, right? The spiritual path means making a path rather than following one. I think this is something that those of us who are on the spiritual path have to remind ourselves of every single day. Because when you do things the way that other people before you have done them, and you follow a path, you're not going to find those amazing wonders and those mysteries that people all talk about. They'll talk about the beautiful waterfall that's just tucked within the jungle, whatever like that. And it's like a legend, but they don't actually make a path to actually get to that waterfall in the jungle. That's a legend that the water deposits into like a pool that just cleanses you of any impurities and stuff like that. It's a legend, but people don't actually make it to there because they're afraid to actually make their own path, because you have to make your own path when you go to something like that. So it's like if you're on a spiritual path and the service that you want to give to the world, the world may not be ready for it. The world's not ready for it yet. That doesn't mean that you stop. That doesn't mean that you give up. That means, if anything, you double down. You work harder. You service greater. You shine brighter. You love deeper. You create more. All right. So remember that, like, when it comes to like these spiritual paths and stuff, we are making a path. We are not following one. And that's something that we have to remind ourselves of every single day. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the cards. Let's see what we got. Oh. Yeah, just be careful today, guys. Don't feel like you have to fix everything right now. Don't feel like, if you don't fix certain things in your life at this moment or figure everything out, that everything is just doomed and it's not going to work out. Don't freak out. It's not time for that. This is a time to acknowledge what we can do, and just, take it one step at a time. You don't have to read the whole book in 5 minutes unless you have that superpower, you know what I'm saying? So it's okay. You don't have to build the whole house in one day, it's all good. Don't trip out. People are going to talk, people are going to have their opinions and stuff, but remember, make your path, don't follow anyone else's. And we have the print. Oh, there's 2 cards here. Oh, look, would you look at that? Yeah, we have the Princess of Discs, so the Page of Pentacles, And below her, we had the Nine of Cups. Oh, that card was just hidden in there. Can you recognize your value? Can you recognize the things that you have in your life to be grateful for, even if you're not feeling emotionally all the way there, or that you have actually succeeded? The interesting thing about this is that, there's all these little tags on this bamboo, right? And these tags are wishes, right? These tags are actually wishes that the person that put them there wishes to come true. With it being reverse, we have to understand that now these wishes are down here, right? Now the wishes are down here. You even have like the galaxy back here, which is kind of cool. So these wishes have taken root and they're going to grow upwards, right? But we can maybe feel like our wishes aren't coming true. They aren't being fulfilled. Well, that's when we have to come back to the Princess of Discs. And she is just chilling there on the branch with the stag behind her, right? A powerful stag, which I would say that the stag is ruled by Sag energy, right? This is like your Patronus. What is your Patronus, right? Right? Yep. Bam. This is what you want to do. Hold on, let me just share my screen real fast. Let me share. Nope. Hold on. Let me share. Boom. James is Potter, so Harry Potter's father. The stag is James Potter's animagus or animagus form, and likely his patronus. As the king of the forest, stags are considered noble and represent leadership and courage, both of which Harry demonstrates repeatedly, repeatedly. Beyond that, the patronus is a representation of the bond that Harry feels with his parents. Blah blah blah. But anyways, this is the kind of energy that this kind of gives me today. That's kind of the beautiful thing about this, is that not only is this Princess of Discs, not only is she confidently just sitting there, but she has the stag looking out for her. Her ancestors are looking out for her. Her angels looking out for her, protecting her, providing that vision, providing that light for her. So remember that even when it feels like, you're trying to fill up your cup, you're trying to get this emotional fulfillment, you're trying to feel like you actually succeeded at something, and you have all these wishes, know that just because the wish hasn't come true immediately, you gotta remember, we have to trust the divine timing of the universe. It's not on our timing and our human understanding of it. This is about God's timing, right? It's about God's timing. So that's why you don't want to just freak out and try and force the issue today. You have made some wishes, made quite a lot of wishes. Are you working towards them though? Are you working to make these wishes happen? You can't just wish to lose 100 pounds and then not do anything and not adjust your diet and not go to the gym. You actually have to put in some of the work too for these wishes. Oh, I wish to have a new Corvette. Well, what actions are you taking to manifest new Corvette energy? What are you doing? So that's the thing about this. We can't just wish for something and then expect it to just pop into our lap. This is not an isekai. We're not going to just get isekai'd into a whole new adventure. You know what I mean? You're not just going to get hit by a van and then just sent to a whole new world, right? Although sometimes it does feel like that. Life can sometimes hit us out of nowhere, but this is not that time. This is not that time where you get hit by a van out of nowhere and you wake up in like a new fantasy world. This is not that time, right? So, but just know that the wishes will come true. You just gotta take your time, put in some work, put in some effort. And the funny thing about the Nine of Cups in reverse is that it's not really bad. It's just like whether or not Nine of Cups upright is usually someone who's like cheersing to the moment and is being recognized for what they've done, what they've accomplished. Nine of Cups in reverse is like you might have accomplished these things, but you're not even recognizing how far you've come. You're not even recognizing how you have won. Or maybe you're desiring more wins in your life, you know? Acknowledge your wins today. We have the card of the wild boar. The wild boar, interesting. Whatever tradition or others expect of you, only to yourself be true. The spiritual path means making a path rather than following one. That's essentially what that means, right? I can't say it any better than that. So that is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful hump day, and I will see you guys on the next forecast where we'll be talking about the new moon in Virgo. Peace.